It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. Welcome to the best show you'll ever know, the Dep Lewis Show, episode 68. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, March 3rd, 2024. Welcome to March, and welcome to the show about video games and much more. So thank you for being here. Hope you're doing great out there in the world. I'm here to tell you about all the best video game things, all the video games I've been playing, all the video game news of the past week or so, and then get into some miscellaneous talk at the end. So it's going to be a really great, interesting, and exciting episode of the Dep Lewis Show. So thank you for being here. So let's get down to some business early. If you'd like to help me out more so than just listening like you're doing already, you can follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review, turn on notifications, tell a friend. Email any questions or feedback to DepLewisShow@gmail.com. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So places like Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Patreon, and Buzzsprout, and many, many more places. And there are clips of the show on YouTube and TikTok. Twitch.tv/DepLewisShow is a great place to follow. And then Patreon.com/DepLewisShow is the ultimate place to follow. And you can gain access to exclusive content such as the Dep Lewis Freestyle Show. That's a podcast without a plan that is on a freestyle schedule. So I'll tell you more about this at the end. And then for today's show, we're going to have our three sections as always. We're going to have our first section is going to be what video games have been playing in the past week or since the last Dep Lewis Show episode. And the midsection will be all the best video game news from that time frame as well. So all the happenings in the video game world, like news and releases and delays and layoffs. There's been layoffs almost every week these days with video games. So we're going to talk about those in the midsection. And the third section of this show is the miscellaneous talk section, where I talk about anything I want to outside of the video game world. So today I'm going to talk about some comedy specials I've been watching and liking, and then get into the worldwide world of sports, as I always do in that section, because I love the worldwide world of sports. So welcome to the show. Hope you're doing great out there. I took last week off. I took a week off from my normal job, so I took a week off from the Dep Lewis Show. So had a lot of time to play games and get news together, and I am excited to be back here recording this podcast today. So, welcome back to me and welcome back to you to this show. So let's see. I took some time off, and I'm going to basically tell you about all the stuff in this show. So really no need to get into that by itself, but back to normal life tomorrow, back to normal podcast schedule, and back on the Dep Lewis Show train. The train is moving. So let's talk about what I've been playing. So I've been playing a lot of games over this last 2 weeks it's been, and I have some main staples I've been playing. So the first main staple has been NBA 2K24. So I'm still loving the 2K. This is a great podcast game. It's still filling that need perfectly in my video game life. I haven't been playing online as much in the past couple weeks, but I am getting better against the computer. So I'm making some progress there, and hopefully those skills can translate to the online courts at some point in the future. But I really do like playing the franchises and just running through some games against the computer. I'm definitely getting a little bit better at the game. It's a very relaxing way to play some 2K and listen to some music or a podcast or have some, basketball even on the side or something. So I just want to say the Hornets have been my main season I've been playing through right now. So I'm a really big fan of Brandon Miller in this game, and LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges. Those are my main three. And I even have a little Trey Mann in there, a little Seth Curry. I'm trying to think who else I trust. There's not too many on the team, actually, beyond those guys. But Nick Richards, he does pretty well sometimes. I think he's hurt for me right now, but the Hornets are holding up pretty strong. I don't know how many games I'm in. I'm probably over 20 games in on the season, so making decent progress there. So I'm probably going to continue that and having a lot of fun there. So 2K's been good and a great podcast game, and not too much else to say. I've really been playing this consistently now for, I guess it's been a couple months now. So I'm back into the 2K a whole lot and going to keep talking about it on the show, even if it's just a little mini update like this. So NBA 2K24 is still a wonderful game, and I'm hopefully getting better at it because I have started off very rough. I've been playing this game every year in its existence pretty much, and I have never been as bad at it as of recent. So I'm trying to get better, and it's been a pretty good challenge. So NBA 2K24, a wonderful video game bouncing to your consoles, or can bounce to your console right now if you want it to. All right. So I've been in these last 2 weeks, and in a lot of my life. I've been doing some video game musical chairs about what I've been playing. And I think I'm going to lay down the gauntlet on another, not a challenge, but it's kind of a plan. So I have a plan going, and I am playing this game, and I'm going to try to complete this next game. And that is what I'm saying out loud here on the show. And I've gone back in some of these before, but hey, this is another attempt at some video game plan. So here's what it's going to be. So I'm playing right now Final Fantasy VII Remake. So that is the game from 2020. The sequel to this, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, has just released in the last week. So we're going to talk about that a little bit in the midsection, and that's something that I hope to play one day. But I want to play this Final Fantasy VII Remake until the end. And I've had two starts of this, and this will be my third. So I played it in 2020 when it came out. I got so far in it, and then I had another try of it a couple years later, got so far in it, and now I'm giving it another try right now on the PS5. And I'm now farther than I've ever been in this game. I'm at Chapter 8. I think it's around maybe 14 or 15 hours in. I think I still have a long way to go. I think I'm about halfway through on the game. I think there's 15 chapters, so I've hit pretty much the halfway mark, and I'm a huge fan of this game right now. I've been having a whole lot of fun playing this. I'm thinking I'm just really, really high on this game right now. It's been awesome. So this is my main single-player game right now that I'm trying to finish, and then hopefully I can go on to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth after, which I'll tell you more about that game in the midsection of this show. So what I'm liking about Final Fantasy VII Remake, and maybe I should tell you just a little bit of my Final Fantasy history. I hate saying a handful, and people say a handful a lot, but I've probably played a handful of Final Fantasy games over the course of the years, and I've never completed one. Like a lot of franchises, I like to play them and never have completed them. I like to try them out, but don't actually proceed all the way through until the end. So I've played maybe Final Fantasy 12. I played a good bit of Final Fantasy 15. It's probably the most of one I've played. And then I've just kind of watched a lot of content and seen a lot of people talk about Final Fantasy. It's one of the most popular franchises in the world for video games. And then I've tried to play this remake a few times. So I listen to the soundtracks to Final Fantasy sometimes. So I'm definitely a fan. And hopefully now I can be a fan of actually completing a game. So that's what I'm trying to do. So speaking of being a fan, I'm a huge fan of the characters in this game. I think Cloud and Tifa are probably my favorites. But I'm really liking Aerith now. I've been doing a couple missions with her and just been introduced to her in this game. So that's been really neat. And she's really fun too. And then Sephiroth is very cool as a bad guy and potential old mentor, I guess. And I just don't know there's been 6 games before this technically, so there's a lot I don't know about the series, but I'm learning a little bit through here. And Sephiroth he's awesome looking is all I want to say. And then Barrett on my team with his gun for an arm, he's a really cool character too. And the other guy's Briggs and Jesse, and then the larger guy who likes to eat. I can't think of his name, but he's a lovable guy and he's a cool character. So we're just a really big fan of these. The Cloud, Cloud is growing on me. I'm really liking him more and more as the story goes through. He has his past. He's an ex-soldier, and he's back into the real world trying to get some mercenary work. And his old friend Tifa is trying to help him get on his feet here around the city and try to help him get some money and get on his way to some success again. So there's been some drama in Cloud's life, but he is back trying to help these guys out. They're trying to take down the evil corporation and shut down all the reactors and help the Mako live freely. And that's pretty much the gist of this game, but it's been really good. I'm on Chapter 8 out of 15. I'm really loving the combat. It's a little bit of a cop-out in saying that because I'm playing on easy and classic. So it's basically like automatic combat minus doing like spells and abilities. But I'm finding this to be the most fun, and I think it's helping me progress through this game. I am definitely no master of video games. I usually play games on easy, and I really just kind of like the story. And if the combat is fun enough, if it's fun enough on the easy mode, then I'm happy with it. And this is definitely scratching that itch because you can watch Cloud attack in the proper manner, and he blocks in the proper manner. And then once your gauge fills up, you can unleash some of your materia on the enemy. So it allows you to sit back and play it a little more turn-based and also not get punished for doing something stupid in battle like I would be doing 94% of the time or something like that. So I think the blocking and the parrying, or I don't know if there's parrying, but the blocking and knowing when to attack and not walking into enemies' attacks is pretty much the whole gist of the combat. So if you're not having to do that and you're able to just let off the fire or let off the braver or use your accessibility. And you can even control the other players in your party, but I've been focusing on just doing cloud. So I'm playing like a really basic playthrough of this game, but it's been really, really fun. And it's helping me get through and get to see the story, and the combat is still fun to do. And the materia, I've just been figuring out the materia a little bit more. I was rolling with fire and the accessibility for a long time, but now I have lightning and I have ice, and I even have something else. So I found I guess it's a wrist guard that allows you to put that many slots in there. So I'm rolling with a whole lot of materia right now, and that was something that I didn't expect. And I think I dropped like 3,000, 3,500 in-game currency to buy that most recent bangle, and it kind of bankrupted me, but I think it was all for the better. So this game has been really, really good. It's very, very good. News alert. I like Aerith has a flower garden amongst the slums, so you go to her house and you get to see she wants to bring some flowers to the Leaf House, I think it's called. It's the orphanage, and she gathers some up, and you get to see her cool house. So it's like a pretty nice change from the game of the going through the reactor and the slums and all the uncolorful places in the world that this game inhabits. And then you have Aerith's garden that was really like beautiful and had a bunch of different colors and flowers and just looked really, really cool and very cozy and really, really stands out in this world. So I think it was a great contrast. I wrote nice pop of color. So this game is originally from 2020, and I want to finish this. So this is the game I'm looking to complete. I've been playing a whole lot of this actually, so I've been making some good progress. I've been having no trouble starting it up and wanting to play it, so hopefully I can continue that momentum and finish this game and then get to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because I've been hearing wonderful things about that. I've even heard some recommendations that you can go ahead and just play Rebirth first, but then I've also heard some people kind of scoff at that and say, hey, you're really missing the story here. It can really be beneficial, and if you like this game, I don't think the games are doing too much differently. It sounds like Rebirth has improved on a lot of things, but it sounds like if you like the core bones of this game, that you can go back to 7 and play it and like it, and then when you get to Rebirth, it should be a nice jump of some new things and really mix it up. So that's what I'm hoping for here and what I'm going for and going back to this remake. So trying to complete a game, and I think we're going to talk about that in a minute. We're going to talk about some gaming plans. I've been talking about that a little bit with this game, but we're going to get into some more depth about some gaming plans in a minute. But some other games I've been playing since the last Dep Lewis Show episode have been some multiplayer games. So I had another session with friends of the show, played some Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and we played some Rocket League actually. So this was the majority playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is very fun. It's a great multiplayer game to get. You can get a good group of people together. It's like 2 to 8 or something like that you can play with online. So you can get a good amount of friends together if they all are coordinating and able to play a video game on a night. So that's hard to do, but fun when it happens. And we played a lot of Mario Kart races. And I actually bought the DLC courses before playing this, because I read that if one player in the party has them, that they can be chosen in the lobby to race on. So that was true. So I bought these courses. It doubles the amount of courses in the game. So if there are 8 tournaments or whatever they're called, 8 different ones in the base game, there are 8 more in the DLC that you can play with. So that's 8 times 32 more courses. So no shortage of content and a nice variety to add into the mix since I think this has been like our 3rd time back this year playing some Mario Kart. So we've been playing it pretty regularly as a group of people, and it's been fun to play. So Mario Kart 8's been really great. And then we got into some Rocket League a little bit later on in the evening. Didn't play as much of that, but Rocket League is another group favorite and my favorite. And it was good to play some Rocket League and something else that I'm playing a game here and there. But I've really been kind of focusing on NBA 2K and Final Fantasy VII Remake. But I did do some multiplayer gaming, and these games will probably get talked about over the course of the year because they have been very fun to play. And it's been nice having a multiplayer game to play with a group. So the last thing I want to talk about in this what I've been playing section are my video game plans. So I'm telling you right now, I'm playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. I want to finish this, then move on to Rebirth. So that is my immediate plan. And later in the year, I want to play the 2 games, Yakuza Like a Dragon, and then Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Those are 2 games I want to complete. And I want to complete them in that order, and that is a goal. So I'm deeming this the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. Last year I was ringing the bell for survival horror all year, trying those games out. I think I landed on the side of I am not a huge fan of horror. I think I like them more so in specific scenarios like The Last of Us or The Walking Dead. and I do like some elements of it, and maybe I should still keep trying it, but I think overall I'm not the biggest fan of scary games. So I think that's kind of what I learned through that year, and I think this year will be the year of the RPG, because I think this is the next big franchise category that I have undertapped. I don't know why I say undertapped, but I have not tapped into enough. I haven't tried out enough. I haven't given enough of a shot, and it could possibly be one of my favorite categories in video games. So this is the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. So for that being said, I want to finish Final Fantasy VII Remake and then move on to Rebirth. Those are my two immediate plans. And then sometime in the near future, I'd like to complete Yakuza Like a Dragon and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And then I have Super Mario RPG going on the Nintendo Switch from last year. I'm very close to completing that, so I'd like to complete that this year as a goal. And then later on in the year for the Switch, I'd like to play Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door Remake. So this is probably my most anticipated Switch game of the year. It doesn't have a release date yet. There aren't too many, I'm not say highfalutin, but really big giant releases for Nintendo this year seemingly. And this could be the perfect one to target. So I'm putting all these on a list. I'm not going to have a deadline on when I want to complete them, but these are all being put onto a list of things I want to complete, and I'm going to track over time. So I think the list, maybe I'll come back next episode for the official year of the RPG list. But I'm telling you, here's the rough draft of what's going on. Because even right now, I'm not saying I want to commit to all of these. But this next one is something I was playing in the last 2 weeks, and that's Persona 3 Reload. And I was playing this on Game Pass, and I played maybe 10 hours of this game and was really enjoying it. But I have all these other games going on right now, and I have to pick what to commit to. So I have to pick something, and I'm picking Final Fantasy. But Persona 3 Reload is something I'd like to go back to as well, and then can maybe lend myself to complete some more Persona after that. So a little bit here is I'm trying to I'm not trying to go back to the complete start of the series, but I'm trying to get in at a good spot, which is not seeming like these most immediate releases. It seems like with Yakuza and Final Fantasy VII Remake, it seems like it's a good idea, and I've heard across the internet and across podcasts that for the most part, they kind of want you to play the one I'm trying to play first. So that is kind of the goal here. And Super Mario RPG, a lot of people say, is a good precursor to the Thousand Year Door. So I'm seeing a lot of these games as two in the franchise. So basically Final Fantasy, Yakuza, Paper Mario, and then Persona is another one. And then Baldur's Gate 3 is something that I've been playing a lot of since it's been released, and have a couple different characters going. Now I kind of just have one character, but for this I think I'm going to wait till the crossplay is added so I can get a co-op playthrough going with friend of the show and friend of real life Sanfi. So Sanfi is a Baldur's Gate 3 fan, and I think that would be the perfect opportunity for me to play this game and give me a good incentive to complete it, and a good lane to put it into for me. I don't know why I'm saying lane so funny, but lane, but put it into the correct lane for me. So that's the idea here. So right now, Demon This, the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. I'm playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, then I want to complete Rebirth, then I want to go to Yakuza Like a Dragon and Like a Dragon and Infinite Wealth. I want to complete Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door Remake. And then the Persona series is a little bit of the icing on the cake if I can get to that. But that is going to be that's going to be like the alternative of the crew. And then Baldur's Gate 3, once crossplay is enabled, I know Sanfi is on board to get a co-op playthrough going, so that is going to be my goal there, to do that with him. So, year of the RPG. It's going to be great. It's been really, really fun, and RPGs are good for podcast or listening to podcasts as well. So, pop an RPG in and listen to all the Dep Lewis shows that you want to, and you'll be having a great time out there in the world. So that's going to wrap up the first section of this show. I've been talking about all the video games I've been playing since the last episode of the Dep Lewis Show. So I've been playing NBA 2K24 like I have been for many, many weeks now. And I've committed now to playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. That is not the game that is released right now. It is the prior one that came out in 2020, but I'm playing that. And I'm about halfway. I'm a little bit over halfway and want to complete that game. That is my video game goal right now. And then I've been playing some games with some friends. I've been playing some Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I've been playing some Rocket League. And I've talked about it being the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. So I talked about my video game plans and what I'm looking to complete and what I have on my roster right now for video games I'm trying to play. So hopefully that can give me some guidance and give you some guidance on what to expect on future episodes of the Dep Lewis Show. So that's going to wrap up the first section. We're going to take a quick break. You're going to hear some lovely break music from friend of the show, Volness. And then we're going to come back for the midsection where I tell you about all the best video game news since the last Dep Lewis Show episode. And there is a lot of information in the midsection this week, so definitely get your ears ready and get your mind ready to remember and catalog all these things and be able to tell them to other people, because then you'll have all the best video game information that you need. So go take a quick break and come back to this show after this music. Welcome back to the best show you'll ever know, and this is the midsection where I tell you about all the best video game news and happenings since the last Dep Lewis Show. So the first thing I want to break down is the Nintendo Director Partner Showcase that took place on Wednesday, February 1st, 2024. It took place at 9 a.m. Eastern, and it was posted to YouTube, so you're able to go watch it. It's around 25 minutes long, and it details games coming to Nintendo Switch from partners. So if you'd like to go watch this is available now on Nintendo's YouTube, or I like to go watch MinMax a lot of times, talk over these streams, so that's a great website and podcast and outlet to follow as well. And you can watch them talk over it. So I'm going to break down all the things I thought that were cool from the show, and there's also some more information that I'm not even talking about, so go check it out for yourself. But these are all the things that I found most interesting in games that I would consider wanting to play, or at least thinking that a lot of people would want to play. So the first one I am interested in is Monster Hunter Stories, and this is getting remastered for Nintendo Switch in addition to PC and PS4. This was previously a Nintendo 3DS exclusive, and players will become monster riders as they hatch, raise, befriend, and battle monsters from the series. It releases in summer 2024. I think the Monster Hunter series is something I could like if I played more of it, and this is a cool idea of having a 3DS game being placed on the Switch, because once the Switch was introduced, or the concept of a handheld game has kind of gone away, since the Nintendo Switch is a switch from TV to handheld. So it's nice to see this was a game intended for handheld consumption and is coming to this console, and I think there's a lot of merit to that. So maybe we'll see some other games from that generation get brought to the Switch. I think that's a great idea. So this game releases summer 2024, Monster Hunter Stories. Another game I've never played anything in this series, but I like the franchise, and this game it got announced, and it's called Gundam Breaker 4. And Bandai Namco announced this new entry in the Gundam Breaker series, touted as biggest entry yet, and its most recent entry in the series since 2018's new Gundam Breaker. So in this game, players can create their mecha creations using parts from over 250 mobile suits featured in various Gundam series as they tackle various missions. A lot of various there, a lot of variety. We'll also introduce a new feature allowing players to use 2 different weapons for unique combos. No firm release date, but looks like 2023 for PC, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch. So just a cool game from looking at it. I love looking at these robots. The art and design from Gundam Breaker, from Gundam Wing is very cool. And that in video game 4 is also very cool. So something I'll be checking into. And hopefully these games will be getting a warm reception when they release. So something else that is interesting is the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. And this is Aspyr Media. ASPYR Media is re-releasing this beloved classic. And it's a compilation of the first 2 Star Wars Battlefront games. It also includes new content, including maps and characters. A new mode called Hero Assault will also be available. And this release is, just 11 days for Nintendo Switch, plus PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. So I've never played the Battlefront games. This is something I've been meaning to ask friend of the show, Sanfi, about, to see if he's played them, but this could be a good entry into the multiplayer gaming that I've been doing recently, and hopefully they can execute these. You're always hoping they can execute a re-release in the correct way, that they stay true to the original game but improve it in minor ways and give you some good value in the package is always what you're kind of hoping for. So we will see what the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection is looking like on March 14th, 2024. All right, the next game that I think is interesting is Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. And Sega announced this new entry, and it's coming exclusively to Nintendo Switch on June 25th, 2024. It's the first new entry in the series in over 10 years, and this will mark the first time up to 16 players from across the globe can duke it out in multiplayer modes. And also this will include an adventure mode that includes 200 brand new stages, either tackle yourself or with up to 4 friends via local or online play. So Super Monkey Ball is something I've definitely considered thinking about games recently for multiplayer settings, and this could be the latest and greatest. So we will see. I don't have too much. I think I played some Super Monkey Ball on the original Xbox. I think it was part of that package. I don't know. I might have played some of it. It definitely looks fun. It's something I should play more of because it's something I would like as a platformer. This one's like a rolling platformer pretty much, but it could be something to find a cheap copy of or add into the multiplayer rotation. So Super Monkey Ball is a little bit more on my radar these days, and Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble should be on everybody's radar on June 25th, 2024. So another game that's already been announced, but this has been announced for the Nintendo Switch now, is South Park Snow Day. So that was an announcement for this game. It was already announced for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S, and this releases very shortly on March 26, 2024. So some RPG South Park. Those games are usually very good quality, so this will be the third one of those, I believe. So check that out later in March, which is only a couple weeks away from right now if you're listening in real time. So something else that was announced, another remake, is Epic Mickey Rebrushed. This is a remake of the 2010 platformer that released on the Wii. It's touting upgraded graphics and other improvements. It will also add new skills for Mickey to take advantage of, and is out sometime this year on Nintendo Switch. So I'm not too much of a Disney or Mickey fan. I definitely like some things in that universe, but I remember this game from back on the Wii. It definitely was a hit. It's just the Mickey in the game never has enticed me enough to want to play it. So looks really fun. Like I said before, hopefully this can be a good update of an old game, because that would be nice to the fans of it, and hopefully can, I guess with these you want them to appease the old fans, and you also want it to gain some new fans. So that's what I hope for all these remakes. So Epic Mickey Rebrushed comes out sometime this year on Nintendo Switch. The next game that I want to tell you about that's interesting is Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. So this is getting like the Persona 5 Royal treatment. So Shin Megami Tensei 5 released around 3 years ago as a Nintendo exclusive. And that game is multi-platform now, so it's on Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, I believe. And this Vengeance iteration of SMT5 is an enhanced version of the 2021 RPG with some new content such as new locations, demons, and choices players can make. And this releases June 21st, 2024. So this is probably the best way to jump into the series if you haven't played, I don't know, or if you haven't played Shin Megami Tensei 5, this will probably be the recommended one to buy over the base version. But I guess that is still to be determined, but that's usually the case, that they are upgrading some things and have listened to the fans and putting some new content into the game is what they're probably hoping for here. So something that I do own on Switch. I'm not adding it to my year of the RPG list quite yet, but it is definitely something on my radar, and I think it's very cool and something I wanted to tell you about from the Direct. Okay, let's see here. Only a few more things to tell you about from the Direct. So the next thing is Endless Ocean Luminous, which is a game originally on the Wii. It's a scuba diving adventure game and the second sequel in the Endless Ocean franchise, following 2010's Endless Ocean 2 Adventures of the Deep. But in this new game, a remake, Endless Ocean Luminous, players will venture across the Veiled Sea region to discover all the marine life inhabiting the area. Luminous has over 500 species of marine life for players to discover, and this releases May 2nd, 2024. So getting a lot of Wii nostalgia here on this Direct. And this was another game I never played back in that day, but it was something that you were definitely hearing about, that people were enjoying out there. So it's very cool. Hopefully, again, this will be a nice remake. I have to say that every time, and I'm going to quit saying it. But Endless Ocean Luminous is coming to Switch on May 2nd, 2024. Okay, another announcement. Yeah, this one was an actual announcement in the Japanese version of the Direct. So if there's any Japanese Dep Lewis Show fans out there, you can go play Mother 3 on Nintendo Switch Online. And I guess a lot of people are probably getting Japanese region Switches right now so they can play this or something. But this is one of the most desirable Japanese RPGs in gaming history, I believe is how IGN described it. And as far as the US release, I think the consensus is it needs to be localized first before it could come west. But the series creator did say last year that he would love for people in the US to play Mother 3. So this could be the beginning of it coming to the US. So I think that could be a great thing. This is the series with Ness. Everyone kind of knows him just as Ness from Smash Brothers, but he is from the Mother franchise, something I don't know enough about, and I should do some more research into this. But Mother 3 is coming to Japanese Nintendo Switch Online. I think it's available right now, so if you're Japanese, throw your hands up and shout. Go play some Mother 3. Okay, 2 more announcements. Well, a couple more announcements from the Nintendo Direct. The one I want to talk about here are the Xbox games that are coming to Switch. So Xbox announced that 4 games were coming to Switch. They didn't tell us which 4 games, so this confirms that 2 of them. So we now know that Grounded and Pentiment are coming to Nintendo Switch. These are both from Obsidian Games. Pentiment will be out on February 22nd, 2024, so that is out right now in real time if you're listening. And Grounded will be released on April 16th, 2024. So a little quick reminder on those games, a little bit of the back of the box talk. Pentiment is a 2022 adventure RPG, and step into a living illustrated world inspired by illuminated manuscripts and printed woodcuts in a time when Europe is set at a crossroads of great religious and political change. Walk in the footsteps of Andreas Mahler, a master artist who finds himself in the middle of murders, scandals, and intrigue in the Bavarian Alps. So this game has an amazing art style. I do have to say that. I've played some of this myself. This is a game that has a lot of farm life in it and animals. That's something that my dog is not a fan of. So this is a trigger game for my dog that likes to growl at the screen at the animals, and if she hears the animal, she gets mad too. So it's a little bit tough to play, and maybe a great time for me to play in handheld and put some headphones on, and I can actually play some Pentiment. So instead of just kicking my dog away from the not kicking her, but moving her away from the TV viewing area, kicking her out of the room basically is what I was trying to say, and get her out of there. But Pentiment is one of the games coming to Switch. And then Grounded, the back of the box talk on that, is a survival action adventure. The world is a vast, beautiful, and dangerous place, especially when shrunken to the size of an ant. Explore, build, and survive together in this cooperative adventure. So I've seen Nextlander play some of this game together. Has been the only content I've taken in from Grounded, but it definitely looks pretty cool. The bugs in the world kind of creep me out, and that's definitely kind of a deterrent in some games for me. Sort of like Hollow Knight, and I know you're fighting bugs in a lot of games, but this game it's especially scary because you're so tiny and the bugs are life size. So, and also I'm just not a fan of survival games for the most part, and it's a multiplayer thing, so just kind of not in a category of something I would normally play. But looks like a quality game, and I had fun watching Nextlander play it, so you could possibly have some fun playing it for yourself on Nintendo Switch, April 16th, 2024. And then the last 2 things from the Nintendo Switch Direct that took place I want to tell you about are some new games coming to Nintendo Switch Online. So these are some more classic Rare games. So from the developer Rare, for the NES, SNES, and N64 era are coming to Nintendo Switch Online today. So these are available now if you're listening in real time. So Killer Instinct from the SNES, Battletoads and Battlemaniacs from the SNES, RC Pro-Am from the NES, and Snake, Rattle, and Roll from the NES are available right now for Switch Online players. And then if you are a Switch Online member plus Expansion Pass subscriber, you can play Blast Corps for the N64, available right now. So a very solid Direct. I think the things I am most excited for would be, let's see here. I think there's a possibility I'd want to play Monster Hunter Stories at some point. I think it's really cool that a 3DS game is coming to Nintendo Switch and getting remastered or upgraded in some way. And then that might be it for me for things I want to play from this Direct. I think a lot of these things are cool. I think there's a lot of variety here for fans, but I do feel like there's not a lot coming out on the Switch this year that I want to play. So not a huge problem. I have a huge backlog. There's games on other platforms. There's other things to do in the world, so not a big deal. But along with the rumors of, it looks like the next iteration of the Switch is going to be 2025. It looks like we're not going to have anything too big for the end of the year, that they're going to save them all for next spring or whenever the next iteration of the Switch is going to be released. So I think that's kind of the next big announcement that we're waiting for from Nintendo, would be my guess. Because, we're going to get into a little bit of Pokemon information after this, and there wasn't too much there either. But so that's going to wrap up the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. So we talked about Monster Hunter Stories, we talked about Gundam Breaker 4, Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection, Super Monkey Ball, Banana Rumble, South Park Snow Day, Epic Mickey Rebrushed, Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, Endless Ocean Luminous, Mother 3, Grounded and Pentiment, the Xbox games coming to Switch, and then we talked about new Nintendo Switch online games, Killer Instinct, Battletoads and Battle Maniacs, RC Pro Am, and Snake Rattle and Roll, and then Blast Core, the Blast Core for N64. So that was the Nintendo Direct, all the information from that. There's actually a few more announcements in there, so please go check out that information for yourself. But love getting Nintendo Direct, and those are always one of my highlights of the year for some entertainment of like press conferencing news stuff. Love a Nintendo Direct, and this one was pretty good, I would say. Okay, another bit of information. We got a Pokemon Presents, and we got this on February 27, 2024. This one's around 12 minutes long, and it's on the official Pokemon YouTube channel right now. There's around 1.7 million views on that video. And I also watch MinMax talk over this. So just shouting out MinMax. That's MinMax with 2 N's. And that's a really, really great outlet. And they do talkovers, and it's very fun to watch. So with this one as well, there's more announcements. It's only 12 minutes long. There was really only one thing here I'm interested in, and that's the new Pokemon Legends game that's been announced for next year. There was no gameplay shown. We do know that Pokemon Legends is called Pokemon Legends Z-A or Z to A. It will be set entirely in the city of Luminous City, and it is the major city in the Kalos region. And I think pretty cool and something I'll be looking forward to. And then the other thing announced here that I did think looked pretty interesting, I don't know if it's something I'll interact with or want to do or want to play, but that is the Pokemon Trading Game Pocket. And that was announced. This allows you to collect virtual Pokemon cards in addition to battling with your friends. So that is out sometime this year on iOS and Android. It has a really cool card opening mechanic and a lot of the cool things about Pokemon right on your phone screen. So if the multiplayer stuff is good, it could be something fun and something I get into. So it's definitely on my radar a little bit. I'm not generally a mobile game player, but this one kind of makes sense and something I want to look into. But nothing from this Pokemon Presents was too exciting. I was hoping for maybe a remake of an old game. I guess that's what I was mainly hoping for, or some patch to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but nothing like that. So there's a little bit of sadness across the video game industry with announcements and releases and things like that. So I think some of these things are highlighting that with the lack of big giant releases or normal things to be looking forward to. So that was the Pokemon Presents. Go watch that now on YouTube if you want to catch up on all the information from that. So let's talk about what else is going on around the video game world. So the best game of 2022, according to the Dep Lewis Show, Splatoon 3, has another Splatfest that's been announced. And that thing is coming on March 22nd, 2024 through March 24th, 2024. So that is in a couple weekends. You can play in the next Splatfest. And that you want to pick the teams of which instrument would you play, drums, guitar, or keyboard. So I would be team guitar over here. I've tried to learn guitar a couple times over my life and still trying to do so, and hopefully making some more progress there than I ever have. So definitely team guitar over here. I don't know if I'll be participating in the Splatfest, but it's something that I definitely love to remind you about and remind myself about that are taking place, because it's always something fun to jump into and play. And I love picking a team to choose even if I don't play. So Splatoon 3, it's a wonderful game. The new Side Order DLC is out right now too, I believe, so go check that out. And Team Guitar is what the Dep Lewis Show is going to back. Okay, so we kept getting a bunch of announcements over the last week or so. So we've also got the announcement of Elden Ring DLC, and it's called Shadow of the Erdtree. So we got the release date announcement, which is going to be June 21st, 2024. So we've mentioned June a lot over the course of this show. So it seems like June will have a good bit of releases. Maybe these are all kind of remakes, but this is going to be a pretty giant DLC and something a lot of people are going to want to play, and people will be very excited about. So this is coming out for Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PS4, PS5, and PC. This is nearly 2 years after release from Software, and there was a new trailer shown that was showing off new bosses, powers, and more. So Elden Ring, a fabulous video game, probably a little bit too difficult to me. Something I have jumped back into recently, just of like a smorgasbord of video game playing. But something that might be a little bit too difficult, but is something that I can definitely see the quality. I respect it. I think it's really, really amazing. I think it's fun to watch other people play it, and it could be something I play in the future if I toughen up a little bit. But very, very cool. Very excited for this DLC, and I believe a lot of people will be putting this DLC on their Game of the Year list from what I'm thinking of how good it'll be. So Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC is releasing on June 21st, 2024. Okay, so let's see here. So let's talk about some video games that have been released since the last Dep Lewis Show episode. The first one is something I mentioned earlier in the show that I want to play, and something I'm playing the prior game in the series. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has been released. It came out on February 29th, 2024 for PlayStation 5. It is $69.99 US. And this is the second entry in the Final Fantasy VII Remake project, which retells the story of the genre-defining RPG across 3 distinct games. So expect a new standard of cinematic storytelling, fast-paced combat, and rich exploration across a vast world. I've been trying to lay low a little bit on the internet for seeing spoilery things from this game. I don't really have too much frame of reference for the whole Final Fantasy franchise, so it's not too worrisome, but I am playing these games right now. I want to get to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, so I'm trying to just stick to that and kind of see it when I see it. But this is something that I've been hearing across all the podcasts I listen to and some videos and things that people are loving it. Some people are saying to jump right to it because it's doing everything so much better, and that's just really nice to hear since I'm enjoying the prior game. That I think that I'm going to enjoy this one even more when I get to it. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is out now. Not going to say too much more about it. Just wanted to give you some quick information and tell you it's out now if you're listening in real time. So go check out some Final Fantasy VII, and Rebirth is available right now. All right, another game that's available right now is Pacific Drive. And that game released on February 22nd, 2024 for PS5 and Microsoft Windows. It is $29.99 US dollars. And the back of the box talk on this is it's a first-person driving survival game with your car as your only companion. Navigate a surreal reimagining of the Pacific Northwest and face supernatural dangers as you venture into the Olympic exclusion zone. Each excursion into the wilderness brings unique and strange challenges as you restore and upgrade your car from an abandoned garage that acts as your home base. Gather precious resources and investigate what's been left behind in the zone. Unravel a long-forgotten mystery while learning exactly what it takes to survive in this unpredictable, hostile environment. So this game is definitely very interesting. I heard Nextlander talking about it and saying some positive things about it overall. And it's just a cool concept. I do like driving in games a whole lot. And I like the setting of the Pacific Northwest. It's got to be pretty cool. And then some of the survival horror kind of supernatural stuff in there sounds like a good mix. So definitely seems like a cool game. I like that it's on a full price release. And it seems like it's pretty quality. So Pacific Drive is available right now on PS5 and Microsoft Windows. And then the last game I want to talk about is called Balatro. That's a game that's been taking the world by storm. It's a poker-themed roguelike deck-building game developed by Local Thunk and published by PlayStack. So this game released on February 20th, 2024 for Microsoft Windows, PS4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and Nintendo Switch. And it has had a port to Mac OS on March 1st. So this game looks like it's $14.99, at least that's the price on Nintendo Switch. And in this game, you play illegal poker hands, discovering game-changing jokers, and trigger adrenaline-pumping, outrageous combos. This game's been getting a lot of heat, saying that it is encouraging gambling, but I think that is just the reaction based on the popularity of this game. I think it's slowly becoming a huge cult hit. I think more and more people are discovering it. I think it's something I might decide to try at some point, but this kind of seems like it could be one of those timeless classic games that you'll have in your catalog for a long time and be talking about and playing for years to come. So I think it's not a giant developer that made this game, and seems like it's a roaring success. So definitely something I just want to highlight again. I think I've mentioned it on the show before, but I just want to bang the drum for Balatro. It seems like a really, really cool game, and something that I think a lot of people are going to be getting more familiar with just over the time as just more people keep talking about it. So Balatro seems really, really cool. Available right now. So go check it out. Go check out some content on it. Go read about it, especially if you're a card player or don't have a lot of time to play video games and want something quick, I think, to get into. I think this is a perfect example. It's not a huge time sink. I mean, you can sink a lot of time into it, but it's not something that requires you to sit down for hours on end to play and get enjoyment out of. And it's probably a great thing to pause. I think it'd just be a good game for a decent subsect of video gamers. So really, really cool, and out now, Balatro. All right, the last two things I want to talk about are both sad video game news. There's been tons of this recently. I think I don't know, given my opinion every time these kind of happen. So just sad to the people getting affected. But Sony's had some layoffs and EA's had some layoffs. The Sony layoffs are around 900 employees, a reduction of about 8%. It will affect employees across several PlayStation studios. And Sony Interactive Entertainment's London studio will close for good. Jim Ryan's quote says, "These are incredibly talented people who have been part of our success, and we are very grateful for their contributions. However, the industry has changed immensely, and we need to future ready ourselves to set the business up for what lies ahead." So they are future readying themselves is what they're saying here. That's a new kind of term that I'm going to keep watching to hear people say, and maybe I'll be saying myself that I'm trying to get the Dep Lewis Show future ready to set up for the business that lies ahead. But sad news, people getting laid off, never good. Result of poor planning, at least by the executives, and never a good shock to be laid off. And just that's all there is for me to really say about it. These have been happening more and more. I think with the video game landscape, seems like it's drastically changing. Talking about not having as many big releases, games are taking longer to make, more expensive, giant budgets, and I don't know how sustainable that is. So we're seeing these companies preparing for the future. They are getting future ready is what they're saying, but just sad for the people affected. And then EA has had some layoffs as well. Electronic Arts will cut around 5% of its employees, putting about 700 people out of a job. CEO Andrew Wilson is quoted as saying, "We are streamlining our company operations to deliver deeper, more connected experience for fans everywhere that build community, shape culture, and grow fandom." And they also announced that they're canceling Respawn's Star Wars first-person shooter project. So everybody's doing the same thing across the world, it seems like. Streamlining, focusing on fewer things, trying to do fewer things better. And that's the only way. I don't know. I think it's more of an ebbs and flow thing. When the market demands that you grow and that you're able to grow, that these companies are doing so. And then when it starts to constrict down on them a little bit, they have to cut people. And I think that's just how it's always going to go. I think with these larger institutions and things like that. But I don't know too much. I am no expert. I'm just a video game fan and here to tell you about what's going on out there. And just sad to the people at Sony and EA who have been laid off. That's the main thing I would like to say there. So that is going to wrap up the midsection of the Dep Lewis Show, episode 68. We talked about a lot of great information there, so hopefully you found some video games that you think are interesting there, or some things to go watch on your own and check out. So we talked about the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase, talked about a million games in there, so please go watch that or go re-listen to that section and hear about all those games. We talked about the Pokemon Presents. We talked about the next Splatfest and Splatoon 3. We talked about the release date announcement for Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, June 21st, 2024. We talked about the release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, out now. We talked about Pacific Drive, the release of that, out now. We talked about Balatro, out now. And then we talked about the layoffs, the ever-present, non-ending layoffs that have been happening to every company, getting reported weekly, and we'll probably have some more to report next week. But Sony and EA are the most recent layoff companies in the news. So that's going to wrap up the midsection of this show. We're going to come back for the final section of this show, which is the miscellaneous talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside of video game world. So I'm going to tell you about some comedy specials I've been watching, and they are on YouTube right now for free, so it's going to be really good information. And then we're going to get into the worldwide world of sports. I'm going to tell you about all my favorite teams, all the things going on around the sports world. I've been to see a game in person and just going to catch you up on all the favorite teams of the Dep Lewis Show. So listen to this music and come back and listen to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 68, in just a bit. Welcome back to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 68. This is the miscellaneous talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. So the first thing I want to tell you about are two comedy specials that have released recently on YouTube, and I've found both of them very funny and enjoyed watching them, so I want to tell you about them today. So the first one is Dan Soder's new special called On the Road. It's on Dan's YouTube channel. It's been out for a couple days, and it has around 377,000 views so far, and it's really, really hilarious. So I definitely recommend that. And Soder has a podcast, which he started back recently, his solo podcast. So please go check that out as well. It's a very good one to watch on YouTube. He usually has a guest, and it's fun to watch those guys, or him and I don't know if he's had any lady guests, but he probably will. Listen to them talk, and it's just a very great podcast and a very good special. So please go watch Dan Soder on the road. Definitely worthy of a recommendation. The second podcast, or second comedy special worthy of a recommendation, is Fahim Anwar's new special called House Money. It's his new special on Fahim's YouTube channel. It's been out for 3 days and has around 51,000 views. Not quite as many eyeballs as Dan Soder, but Fahim is a very hilarious comedian and worthy of all the views. This was filmed at Zany's in Nashville, and he says, "Come hang out and hear about the happenings of Fahim's world and mine for the past year or two." This special was self-produced and self-financed, so that is just very impressive in general. It's very, very funny, and I can highly recommend that as well. And Fahim also has some other specials, older ones on YouTube that are worthy of watching, and just check out everything they do. I know Fahim does the rounds on podcasts. I don't know if he has his own, but he is always a good guest, and just two really, really quality things that you can watch for free on YouTube. So just want to highlight those and say go support them and give them a shot and check them out if you'd like to. So Dan Soder on the road and Fahim Anwar, House Money, some very funny comedy specials on YouTube. All right, let's get into the worldwide world of sports. So the official NFL team of the Dep Lewis Show, the Carolina Panthers, it's the offseason. The NFL Combine is going on right now. The Panthers don't have a first-round pick, so I am not too excited for much going on in Panthers universe. And the only real news to report is the Panthers are raising ticket prices by 4% next year. So I just wrote LOL after that. Not too much to say. What can you say? It's just the way of the world is all they'll tell you. But really bad. I was wondering if the team announced this or if someone just noticed this on the season ticket pricing and calculated it was 4% and then wrote the article. But either way, not surprising in any way, but also not good news in any way. Very ridiculous. They've been putting a terrible product out on the field. They've been making all the wrong moves, and and then raising the prices is just insult to injury. I don't know, just whatever. But that's the way the world works, and you can't be too surprised by that. But the Carolina Panthers are in always next year mode, so we'll see how it's going next year. I have some hope just because I'm a fan and like football in general, and they are my team, but not the most hope and some of the least hope in a long time. So Carolina Panthers, thank you for the ticket price increase. Definitely. Well, hopefully they'll yeah, I don't know. Just kind of crazy. All right, another local team close to the Panthers is the Charlotte Hornets, and I actually went to see a game last Thursday night. They were playing the Bucks. I really wanted to see Giannis and Dame and the Bucks, and they were very, very impressive. The game was never really too close. The Bucks were in control most of the time, had like an 18-point lead, and really, really could see the difference. You could see a championship team there in the Bucks, and you could see a young team trying to figure it out, and that's had some roster changes and had their top guy out for most of the season going on. So not too hard to put that calculus together, but the Bucks were looking really, really strong. It was cool to see as an NBA fan, see some of these guys. I think Giannis could be up there for one of the best players I've seen in real life now, and he's definitely up there in the talk of the conversation. And was very, very cool to watch, and it's cool to see how like ornery he is on the court and kind of angry and easily upsettable, and like he's really, really into it and giving maximum effort. And then Dame's out there just so smooth and so cool and doing his thing, and just all the eyeballs in there on those guys, and just very, very cool. And Brook Lopez is giant and popping threes, and seeing Bobby Portis was cool. Seeing Pat Bev out there looking like Drew Holiday as much as he can with his long hair, rocking number 21, playing defense. So I think they got some cool stuff going on. Doc looking fresh out there, his bald head shining, looking really fresh. And so the Bucks are really impressive, and I'm glad I got to see them. And hopefully some better days for the Hornets are ahead. And then my actual favorite team in the NBA, the Atlanta Hawks, have lost their all-star Trae Young for 4 weeks, I believe is the minimum, or they're going to reevaluate in 4 weeks. And that is just really, really sad news. We're getting to see the team right now without Trae. They lost to Brooklyn yesterday. I watched some of that. It was an early 3 o'clock game. And then they have the Knicks, the Cavs, the Grizzlies, and the Pelicans in the upcoming week. So not a good time for the Hawks. Not the best. They really needed to be having a strong go of it after the All-Star season to kind of make some noise, maybe get some good footing for some playoff mix. But I don't know if they are really too much worthy of any playoff mix. And I think they're in line for some roster changes next year. So I've heard the Locked On Hawks podcast I like to listen to has talked about this is a good time frame to watch what the Hawks could look like without Trae Young. Possibly they can trade him in the offseason. And it also could probably, it's kind of looked so far like they should try to keep Trae Young. It looks like they've been a little bit lost without him and not as much offense. And Trae Young is averaging almost 30 points or however many he is. And, the offense that they're missing. So I don't know if it's smart to be thinking of the trade territory. I really don't. I would not be happy to see that happen. And I think this has been some good proof of it. I think they need to make some other roster decisions that they've been not wanting to make for a long time. They've been a very indecisive franchise on roster decisions, and I think it's been biting them in the butt, and it's continuing to do so, just like with the John Collins thing for forever. And now it's been the case with the DeJounte Murray stuff of trading him. I think they should keep DeJounte, keep Trae, and figure out the rest of the roster around them, along with Jalen Johnson and maybe with some of the big guys, but don't be married to too many of the other guys. They've been really trying to fit these same guys in the rotation and in the roster, and it hasn't been working. So they do have to change something, in my opinion. But Atlanta Hawks, I've been watching them. I have them on League Pass right now, which is very awesome and exciting. So I'm going to be pretty much watching all the Hawks games, at least until baseball starts, and they'll be on the second screen for the most part until the Braves. And so that's a segue to the last thing I want to talk about, the Atlanta Braves. Still calling for a Max Fried extension. I should maybe take that away. I think it's too close to the start of the season where we're not going to really see an extension happen. That would be in really, really good faith on the Braves' part. That's not the way the business is probably going to get done, but I would love to see that happen. So I just want to say that again. Spring training has been going full force. I've been saying the only win in spring training is not getting injured, and the Braves have a potential Ronald Acuna injury. Something going on right now. They're sitting him out. They're trying to say it's not serious. I think they're kind of going a little bit back and forth on that. It's some irritation in his surgically repaired right knee. It's an irritated meniscus. And I just wish the best for my favorite player on the planet. I want him to be playing for all 162 and all the way through the World Series win. And I think if they need to sit him for some caution, I think they should in this spring training. And I just hope he doesn't have to miss any regular season time. But my main goal would be for not to have Ronald be injured for a long time or really, really upset something or screw something up. But that's the worst possible news you could have with the Braves. So wish Ronald a speedy recovery. And I think he's kind of alluded to that he's been tweeting some. So he's been saying that he's going to be back. And I think I'm just trying to believe him. And he's speaking really good English now. I saw an interview with him. I saw some comments saying that he was speaking in English, and a long time Ronald's been having a translator for his interviews. So we could be hearing some more of Ronald in the English language. So I think that's interesting and exciting, and just think a fun thing as an English speaker. But Ronald Acuna pretty much can do no wrong for me. Favorite player on earth, and I hope that he can be back healthy and hope stay healthy for the remainder of his career, the whole time, for every inning, for every at bat, and all the things in between. So Ronald Acuna, you are the greatest, and you are the best. Big fan of you on the Dep Lewis Show. So that is going to wrap up the miscellaneous talk section, the final section of this show. Talked about some comedy specials I like, Dan Soder on the Road and Fahim Anwar, House Money, both available now on YouTube. And then we talked about all the favorite teams of the Dep Lewis Show: the Carolina Panthers, the Charlotte Hornets, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Atlanta Braves. So that's going to wrap up another edition, another episode, another iteration, another attempt at podcast greatness of the Dep Lewis Show, episode 68. Just thank you for listening as always. I really appreciate you interacting or interfacing or listening or following or doing anything related to this podcast in any way. I appreciate it, and it is always unexpected and just very much appreciated. So just want to say that. I want to reiterate my promotional stuff from the beginning just in case anyone missed it, or if saying it again really helps. But follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review, turn on notifications, tell a friend. Email any questions or feedback to DepLewisShow@gmail.com. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Patreon, and more. Clips are on YouTube and TikTok. Twitch.tv/DepLewisShow is a great place to follow. And then Patreon.com/DepLewisShow is the ultimate place to follow. Right now it's $1 a month for the ground floor tier for the first 100 patrons. With this tier, you will gain access to an additional podcast exclusive to Patreon called the Dep Lewis Freestyle Show. This is a podcast without a plan and has a freestyle schedule, but it's a great way to get additional content and support the show. After the first 100 patrons, the regular price for this tier will begin. Ground floor tier pricing will never change, and you will gain access to all Dep Lewis Show Patreon content always. So always thinking of ways to change and grow and hopefully can be producing more and more content as the years go along. So thank you for the support. Thank you for listening. I'll be back next week for another episode of the Dep Lewis Show. Hope you have a wonderful week out there in the world. Hope you play some video games. Hope you get to relax. Hope you get a raise at your job. I hope you just have a great time. Just thank you for listening to this show. And please come back next week for another episode of the Dep Lewis Show.